So I've spent all this money on education and photography, but I'm still not making enough to pay my rent. Do you have the same problem? The one thing I'd like you to ask is, are you educating yourself in the right area? Today, we're going to talk about whether or not the technical crap matters as much as the business savvy. What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Marvin, and I have been in the photography industry for 25 plus years. While I love being a creative, business is my passion, and elevating the industry of photography is my focus. I created the 7-Figure Photographer to share my journey to 7 figures and to help others find their way too. Surprisingly, so many photographers spend all their time and money focusing on the technical. Now, if you're watching this video right now, it means that you're probably actually considering putting your time and effort into learning more about business, because that's where we focus all of our effort and energy. So a couple of years ago, I was actually with a couple of my friends, and they brought up a photographer that's here local in the area. And of course, I'm not going to share any names, but they were talking about how busy this photographer is and how amazing they are. And honestly, I was doing really well in my business. I was having incredible success in my business, and I was kind of hurt that my friends were comparing me to this other photographer. Before I even dove in to find out what it was about this person that was so special, my friends told me, you really should do things like they do it, because they're working so much. They're so booked and they're shooting so much. I took the time, I dove into the internet, and I started looking into this person, and I found out on their website that most of their shoots are averaging right around $300 per shoot. And I went back to my friends and I said, do you realize that for me to make as much money as I have made that particular year, I would have to shoot over 1,000 sessions? I can't even imagine that. We felt busy with the amount of business that we had and how often and how busy we were working. But I was compared to somebody who was charging far less, that was much more technical, but was working a whole lot more. So really the question I have for you is, does the technical stuff really matter as much as understanding business? But today I want to talk about a couple of different things, 3 things, in fact, about why I think that sometimes the technical doesn't really matter as much as knowing how to run a business, and how many photographers out there spend their time in the wrong places, spend their money in the wrong places, focusing on how to be better at photography and not focusing enough time on being better at business. The first of the things I want to talk about is there's a spot for every photographer. Honestly, if you look out there, there is so much available space in our market as photographers. There's people out there that really don't value photography, and they want to spend as little as they can. And I think that that's a hard thing for people to understand, is that when people don't value something, they're not going to spend a lot of money on it. I see this all the time with dads who are typically just oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes just the breadwinner in the family. And he spends his money on things just crazy. Fishing, for instance, I'm a perfect example of this. I'll spend thousands of dollars on fishing gear and fishing, but yet family pictures are probably not something that I would spend as much money on, because as a man, I just don't value it as much. Now, obviously being a photographer, I understand the difference there, but typically people spend their money based on the things they value. I think that there really is a position or a spot for every photographer. You have the shooting burners, you have the shooting whatever. Like I was on a Facebook post the other day, and I saw somebody saying that they were offering sessions with 40 images for $10. And I was like floored. I was like, I can't even imagine working that much for $10. It's crazy. But there's people out there that will pay for that. And typically a good indicator of a position that you're in where you need to move up is when you cannot keep any openings in your schedule and you're too busy that everybody wants into your schedule. You have a hard time, like you just fill up everything. That's typically a good sign that people are willing to pay more for your work than you're charging. The people that value it are going to be the people that will shell out the money. At a higher level, when you charge a whole lot more for pictures, as long as you provide the right value, people are going to spend it. But some of the things that I've obviously seen, and I really just want to hit home, is that people value different things, and people value photography differently. Most of my clients really value an experience, and they value somebody that's going to take care of it all for them. Whereas there's some people out there that really just want to show up, get their pictures taken. They don't really so much care about how they look. They just want to have it done, and they want you to send them to them so they can do all the work because they think that it's going to be less expensive for them. What photographers don't realize is that most of the time in that situation, because we haven't taken the time to learn the business aspect of it, we don't understand what our cost of doing business is. Oftentimes, you're actually paying money out of your own pocket to provide a service to what you consider a client. But that would actually make you their customer, wouldn't it? Imagine that. So the second thing I want to talk about is balance. Now, balance is really important. Of course, the whole topic of this conversation today is what's more important. Is it more important to learn the technique in photography or to learn the business of photography? And I think that it's really important to have some good balance. And some of the things that I'm talking about is, like I said, I've spent a lot of time for years just trying to become a better photographer. But at some point in time, I realized I really want to make money doing this. I don't so much necessarily want to just be the best at this. There was a balance. I did want to be the best at it, but I wanted more to make money. So you could even say that I was actually on the wrong end of that balance because I focused so much on business and less about the technique. Some of the things that I've learned is that, by understanding the business side of things and seeing how people wanted to purchase things or how people did purchase things, I understood that when I went out on a photo shoot, I would actually shoot pictures that I didn't think were sellable images because I realized that my clients typically saw those and bought those. Another flip side of that, I love shooting sunsets. Sunsets have been something that are important to me just because of my relationship with my father. But I realized that as I was doing those more and more every year, I had fewer people that really cared about buying the sunsets. And I realized that it was really more about me loving the sunsets than my clients loving the sunsets. So we raised the price in them. The other part that I was talking about, specifically shooting for like families or for seniors, oftentimes we'll take a picture of the student with their parent. And that's one of those things like, I just didn't even think about it for years. But when we spend all this time focused on an experience, and then we give the client an opportunity to have a specific memory from that experience of the two of them together, that's another picture that you can sell. The family side of it that I was talking about is I'd seen people, that had shot pictures of the family walking away holding hands. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, why? Who would spend $1,000 or $1,500 on a picture of the family walking away? Well, guess what? I sell it all the time. So now, without question, when I go on a family shoot, one of the most important pictures I get is the family walking away holding hands because I'm shooting for the sale. And for albums, I shoot for the sale. And those are things that typically you don't understand unless you understand business in photography. So you might be amazing at shooting and lighting a subject, or even you might be amazing at just the composition or posing. I know some people that are just incredible about posing, but they couldn't sell a picture to save their life. So having some balance there is so important. In fact, I want to share with you guys real quickly. Okay, so I want to show you guys a little Venn diagram. Now, if you don't understand what a Venn diagram is, it's really just a couple of different elements that when combined, it shows you where the strength of certain things are. This first one, we're going to talk about technical. This one, we're going to talk about business. The bottom one, we're going to talk about sales or personality. Because whether you know it or not, personality is a big part of sales. When you can bring these three different elements together, and sometimes it's all about being able to shoot a photo for the sale. So let's write in here the holding hands picture. And then on this side, it's a popular one. For the business side, it's a popular picture. There's not a whole lot of technical to it, but there is some technical in understanding how to get people to properly do it. But the business side of it is that people put it over the bed in their bedroom. The sales side of it is that it sells. So what we have is here in the center, we have the three elements of this coming together. The point of this is to show the balance. When you have a little balance of everything, you have the strongest aspect of any element. When they all work together, they come together in one section, that they're strong in all three of those things. And so consider those things. This is a really fun activity to take and do, to look at like how things work together, where they're the strongest. And the reason I tell you this is because I want you to consider thinking about the concept of, I'm not just going to put all my time and energy into the technical stuff, but into the business side, the understanding how businesses run, understanding my pricing, understanding how I have to charge people, understanding the things that make people tick, but then also the sales aspect of it, and understanding how to work with people, understanding how to read people, what objections are, those different things. When you have those three elements, those three are the three most important things that are going to make your business sale. So the number three thing that I want to talk about is the business side of photography to most people just isn't as sexy. If you look anywhere on the internet, you can find 100 different educational platforms on technique. Everybody's doing it because it is the most sexy part of it. It's the funnest part. When you go to a convention, people want the on hands, the experience. We're creative people. We want that creative hands-on experience. But the business side of things can be sexy. For me, with my business, what I've been able to do is, because I've gotten to a point where the business side, for the most part, runs with less effort because we understand it, we know it, then what it allows me to do is when I go out on shoots, I get to have, those are the times where I get to feel free, and it's almost like it brings the fun and the excitement back to photography because I don't have to worry about whether or not I can afford to even fill my car with gas to get to the location. When you can't figure out the business side of things and you can't figure out how to make a profit as a business, that technical crap doesn't matter. You're not going to have a business if you can't pay the bills. I think that we need a good balance of those things. You need to understand the technical, but then when it comes to clients saying, well, how much do you charge? Oh, I don't know. What's your budget? Yeah, that sounds like a good number. For every class you take on lighting, take 2 on business. Make business sexy, because it will help you in this industry more than any lighting scenario you can ever have. You can be an incredible photographer. You really can. You know, last night I was actually struggling. I was looking through some of my past work, and I realized that I've spent all this time focused on my business. I have, in a lot of ways, let the quality control go because I just trust everybody to take care of everything. So my wife does all of our editing. And, I went looking for a picture to post on one of the Facebook groups, and I started looking through all my pictures from the last year, and I was really disappointed. I was disappointed in myself. Guys, I had the best year of my life this year. I shot fewer shoots this year than I did the year before, and I made $60,000 more. So that subpar quality work still sold like crazy. I wasn't happy with it, but now that I know, I can go back and change that. It's still not going to change my bottom line. Maybe the quality of the work might drive more customers in, but consider those things. I think we put too much weight on the concept of what we need to know technically about photography instead of what we need to know in the business of photography. So take that, put it somewhere special, think about it. If you like what you heard today, make sure to smash the like button. That's all I got for you guys today, and I hope that we will see you again soon. Take care.